usually I feel very guilty about not working. I feel stressed about not working, like when's the next audition, when's the next project. And I think everyone has had to completely let that go, because
Absolutely.
it is what it is.
I'm curious, for, when in that process, for when you're up for a series regular job and there's this, like you just described, a long process, how long typically does that whole process take from when you find out about a possibility and all of the negotiation, various auditions or interviews or whatever? Is there any kind of average time for how long that takes?
It's very dependent on them and when they decide to see the role. So on this particular one, I remember getting my first email in January that there is this role that we are investigating for my agents. Seth and I have the same agent. And I remember clocking the role, and I remember saying, I'd never be cast in that. It's this very, I'm part of this whole process about me being, studying with you guys is also really understanding perception of self. I will look at some roles and I'm like, I'm not that. How could I be that? How would they want me for that? And just understanding how to inhabit and step up to those roles. So this was totally one of them. She's like a lead of a series and a badass FBI detective with a pill, like just a lot going on. But she, she's like taking down bad guys all the time with her gun, and I can't even open a can of tomato without like intense leverage, so it's one of those. But it just, it started in January, and then I started getting a lot more traction last month when I bumped into the casting director at a party. She had cast a series that I was on called Rami, although I didn't go through her. She was at the rap party, and she just randomly said, we've had your picture up on our wall as a prototype for all these months. And I literally totally tried to just act cool and not die. And then from then on, there were just, a couple of tapes, couple of negotiations. Then I heard it just went to someone else. Like there's an offer out and it went to someone else, and I'd forgotten about it. And then a week later, apparently I was the one who was getting the offer. I had no idea. And so, it's a solid 3 months.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
I thought it might be interesting to talk a little bit about the environment and specifically the studies and the approach that we've been doing at the Barrow Group. Just for everybody's information, Poorna has been involved heavily in this community, first as a student, and then as an actor in many projects, and she's on our board of trustees now. Her involvement with the Barrow Group is extensive. When did you first take classes at the Barrow Group?
Probably 2004.
Okay, so
Yeah.
wow, 16 years, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Amazing. But what I was curious about is that on the job, in what way do you find yourself utilizing the various sort of tools and techniques that we've been playing with for all this time? How does that show up?
It showed up so differently over the years. I'll go back to a shoot I did for Rami, which had such heavy Barrow Group involvement for me. And Rami was a very particular script. It was a very particular circumstance. It's written by a friend of mine. I met Rami at an event. It was a complete random, and he was like, "Oh my God, I'm a writer, and I'd like to write something for you." And I just randomly, I get cast. I get stereotyped cast. I don't know what the word is, stereocast a lot. And I, either I'm getting cast as the doctor or the lawyer, and now I'm into like the mother, and that too, like mothers whose kids are in dire situations. So like the grieving mother. So those are the roles that keep coming up. And I said, and very heavy drama is what I get cast in. And I just told him, I said, I don't want to play your mom. I don't want to play your auntie. I don't want to play anyone who's sad. I want to be like having sex and being funny. That's what I want to do, right? Because I never get to do that.
That's exactly what you did on that series.
And then he called and he's like, okay, I wrote that. We're ready. We're ready.
What network carries that series again? Is that HBO? Which network?
Hulu.
Hulu. Okay.
Yeah. So
It's
for
called,
those,
it's called
and
Rami, right?
say it again.
It's called, the show's called Rami.
Oh, Rami. Yeah, it's just about his life.
Really
And,
funny, by the way.
and so for, for those, it was in New York, and I'd done my work and I'd studied it and all that, but I came into class and worked on all those scenes in class, and you can see the work show up like minute by minute on the takes. It's totally what I did in class. And I did one scene with you and in class, and I did one scene with Lee. And Justin read it with me, and it was amazing. And so it's, so the work that I did in class showed up obviously on scene, but there was something, the atmosphere in Rami was very, very open. The director, it's Chris, forgetting his name. He's amazing, and he's very, he directs like someone who studied at the Barrow Group. It's like, yeah, whatever, like that. So it's a very loosey-goosey set and huge level of comfort. But I would keep asking for different takes, and I would keep trying out different tools, like earlier reason to speak. There was one tool that was one of the takes that ended up them using, and it's something that you just said to me the other day in class, which is just tell me what she's saying, so the tool is either the third person, sorry, what is she saying? Oh, she's saying have a sandwich. So just stripping away all the acting and making it as bare bones as possible. And I remember that was my last take, and I said to Chris, I don't want to put anything on it and see what comes up. And he's like, yeah, sure. And that's the take that they ended up using.
Yeah, and just to familiarize everybody with the specifics of that technique, the idea is that sometimes, we start to, just get all sorts of things going in relationship to lines, and the lines start to feel like lines, and things get effortful, and it gets acty and all that stuff. And one very specific technique that you can utilize to to sort of entice yourself to release all of that effort is just ask yourself, what's the line? And just answer it with the line, saying, well, the line is blah, blah, blah. And then pay attention to what happens when you do that. And then you go, oh, there it is. There is a nice, it just kind of came out. That's not loaded with all this stuff. And then you allow yourself to play like that. It's funny, I'm sitting here talking with you, and we talked about this the other night too. I don't know, and I trust you remember this because I alluded to it a few nights ago, but we were once talking, and I think it was, I have a feeling this is when you were shooting the night of, and you said, oh, I just discovered this thing. And I was like, what?
No, it was for another thing. I did that too.
What was it for? Do you remember the project?
I'll tell you, it was a movie, and it was that guy.
Movie with that guy. That's it. We know who. No, I have no idea. But in any case, what the thing was is that Poorna had told me that she said, I always noticed that actors are so much better when they're off camera, and that I'm so much better when I'm off camera. I relax, and I'm just a lot freer and easier. And she said, so what she's been doing lately is she pays attention when she's shooting to the actors off camera, and she just kind of does what they do. Like they're all chill, and she's like, all right, I'll just do what they do. And that worked for you, yes? That
works. I use it all the time. I use it on almost every take. I'll find the one person and it literally could be the sound person who is off camera and do exactly what they're doing.
Yeah,
it makes no sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, when you told me that, I was like, oh, that's good. I've been playing with it myself. It's great.
It's so great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you found on the job that is where it becomes challenging as to like, well, how would you apply? You've been acting for a long time. You have a bunch of skills, and are there any times when you come up and you go like, gosh, I don't exactly know how to use the craft I'm familiar with right here, right now? Does that happen a lot, or just a little, or how does it work for you?
Okay, can you rephrase the question?
Yeah, so you learn all this stuff, what to do when you act, right? that works for you. And then you get on the job, and sometimes they ask of us things, you know, it's real-time scenario, and they're saying, hey, could you please do this? And are there times when you feel like, gee, I'm not even sure what particular skill to apply to that. I'm being asked to do something and I'm not sure how to go about doing it. Does that happen for you, or?
Let me think about that. No, you know, I will get a lot of directors who will say, don't look away so much, you know, like more like, you know, this is an intense scene, so look at them, you know, look at them. That happened in one of my last few projects. And you know, they'll take away the activity, which feels very natural to do for sure. And, you know, I definitely will not plan activities, but I have a very strong sense, again, developed at the Barrow Group, of what I am doing and how to continue doing it, even though you're in a scene, when it makes sense. And I'll have a lot of directors kind of try and strip that away and look and like feel that intensity. And so that's hard because I will rebel so intensely against it, you know, and you can see me, you know, you can see me working against the direction because I'm, you know, I'm so trained not to do that. There definitely has been times, oh my God, that I did not know how to act. You know, my first scene with Nicole Kidman and Meryl Streep was
And that was in Big Little Lies 2, right? The second season?
Yeah, it was, I was so numb and couldn't remember any of the skills, and just like, you'd never think I had trained with you guys for 15 years. Like every take that, you know, I remember every take that Nicole did was so different. I mean, it was like a totally different script. And then each take I did was exactly the same. Exactly. And I really, like, I went home like, oh my God, what am I doing? But I couldn't help. I mean, the entire shoot was like that. I couldn't help myself. But you know, and sometimes I'll feel that even in I try not to go into the room anymore to audition, because I get nervous and I don't like it, and self-tapes are becoming so common.
Yeah.
But I notice I'll do that in audition as well, which is, it's really hard for me to take direction because I'm stressed. But you know, you and I know Sarita, who's my best friend. She and I will.
This is Sarita Chowdhury.
Yeah, and so we've been rehearsing together for 20 years now, and so we will rehearse in different ways to do something, so that my body knows. And when a director will give some direction, usually I can't hear what they're saying, but I will do it a different way that we rehearse. So like, you know, I'll do stuff like that. But when I'm terrified and stressed, everything goes out the window.
Yeah, it's funny. What I find is, you know, I turned 60 this year, and I find that one of the hidden benefits of getting older is that for myself, on sets, I am stressing less and less and less and less. And part of it is just being around sets a lot. But another part of it, a big part of it, is like, you just stop caring at a certain point. You're just like, you know what? I've lived my life. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times when directors ask me to do things that are, you know, I feel are counterproductive, I've learned to sort of, I sort of yes and them. I'll just go, sure. And then I kind of sort of do what they're asking me to do, but I also don't, you know.
No, that's what you should be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be helpful.
Yeah, I gotta learn more of that.
I'm thinking that this might be a good natural point for us to. Oh, did you want to? We have a guest host.
Nope. I wonder
and she has a few questions for you too. So I wonder who it could be. So I'm going to just turn it over to my partner here.
Hi, Poorna.
Hi, Lee.
Hi. Great. So, yeah, so fun that you're doing this, and so fun that we have all these people that are listening to you and stuff. And so great. So you were talking about like when you get nervous, when you get, nervous for auditions and stuff like that. So what helps you? So when you're getting nervous and you're going into the audition.
In the audition,
what does help you?
yeah, really, I haven't really found the answer, but I do know that when I rehearse the shit out of it before, there's a certain thing that I can just bring into the audition room, and it's, I will rehearse till I won't fail, and then I rehearse some more over that till.
So when you say the word, even when you say the word fail, what comes?
Yeah, I know.
This is good because we all have that. So, just is it the lines, or when you
the lines? Yeah. Everything's like, it's. I will get to a point where it's good to go. The audition is good to go, no matter if I'm dropping a line or no matter if someone messes up a line. It's good to go, right? It's fine. Like there'll still be an engine, and then I'll rehearse on top of that. And my rehearsal process is intense and constant and very deep, so that when I'm in the room, if I decide to, to leave my brain behind for a while, it's the work is always still there. I get very, very nervous in rooms, and once in a while I remember I auditioned for Never Have I Ever. No, it wasn't the audition. I hadn't gotten the part. It was my callback for the new Mindy Kaling show, Never Have I Ever. And I did one scene, and it was great, and they laughed, and I was going to the next scene, and which I never do, I just checked in with myself, which I never do, God forbid, and I noticed my legs were shaking, like I was so scared. But again, I feel like my rehearsals will just carry me through, and they do. And in an audition room, I will always ask for another take. I will always, like, I'll do it. They'll have me go once or twice, and then even on set, I'll say, "Can I have one for me?" And no one has ever said no to that.
Good.
And
that's a good thing.
Yeah, and that was the case, and that's when I let it go. And I definitely believe in auditions, you would just have to show up with a choice that is different from what anyone else would make, right? So I did the Mindy Kaling scene. It's a mom talking to her daughter, and I did it the way I'd rehearsed, and then on the second go, do you know what threading is, when you take your mustache hair off?
Yeah.
So and I know how to thread, so I was just threading myself during, when I say, "Can I have one for me?" I was just threading myself and doing the scene, the entire scene. And it's just, I will just bring in my thing, and it's where I can let go of my stress and let go of the shit and let go of whatever, and bring in a choice that I would have considered very risky to do on the first few takes. Yeah.
That's great. And it sounds like in your rehearsal process that you're throwing yourself different tools, trying it different ways. So you're throwing the lines out, and then you'll kind of give yourself different things to play with.
Totally.
So instead, when you go into the rehearsal room, or when you're on set, if a director throws you something, you can either kind of take that in and go with that,
and then translate it into, translate what they're doing. I mean, that was the most amazing thing about taking the director class with you guys, is the director says something that is and you can ask Seth, Seth will say something, and everyone else seems to be able to process it, and it's not landing on me. I have to unpack stuff, and it's not a language barrier at all.
Say unpack stuff. So when you say I have to unpack,
that question he just asked, right? And I was like, "Can you repeat the question?" There's something that happens in my brain that I'm like, "Oh, I need a lot more clarity than a lot of people, but I need for it to be very clear for myself." So a director will say something, and I'll be confused, and I'll ask them to say it again, and they'll say it again, and I'm still confused, at which point I'll have to go and do something. But I've learned how to translate a lot of stuff through the Bear Group tools and bring it.
That's good. Yeah.
We
Did you want
should just open it up for the Q&A.
Yeah. So I just want to ask her one more question.
Yeah,
like,
go for it.
So what inspires you, Poorna, as an artist? Where do you find your inspiration?
Oh my God, Lee. I mean, definitely. Definitely theater, even I never saw a play until I was in my 20s. And it was How I Learned How to Drive was the first play that I ever saw. And I remember the playbill, and I remember who the set decorator was. I remember everything about it, So for sure, theater has given me a huge, I didn't grow up with the arts at all. And so when I saw theater almost for the first time, it was a huge, huge opening for me, and still remains the thing I am most delighted by. I am most moved by, brings me most joy, gives me most ideas, makes me, I saw 17 Minutes with You one day and Hamlet the next day. And those are the two last plays I saw, and they're drastically different, and they inspired me so much. So unbelievable. I also saw Marty Moran's play, The Tricky Part, and then I eventually went on to do my own testimonial play, Nirbhaya, and it's seeing stuff that inspires you to bring more of yourself. I think that's my journey, just bringing more of yourself to the table and more of yourself into the room, and it's been a slow process.